What were you doing in the swamps?
uh, washing the beaches.
He lives in a he's got a whole
I,
lake and a swamp area. He
I,
wants to turn
yeah,
into.
I've built a swamp set for my YouTube channel
Oh, nice.
for the Uncle Goat Show, and uh, Chris and I are working on Goat Productions. We've sort of kept it under wraps. We're not really sure if we're ready to lay it out there yet. We've got our logo done, and but it's just me and Chris so far. We can't get any really. Maybe this interview could get us a couple of other people that would be reliable with wanting to actually do something.
No, I'm sure it'd be good. So what here? Give me just a second to get
Uh,
my camera set up to make sure I got everything going. Um,
and Chris didn't tell me who you are that is interviewing, so I want to keep it that way. That way, it'll be sort of more of a organic interview. And that
all right, that
way,
sounds good.
I don't know what your channel is or anything until after the interview.
Yeah, okay, that sounds good. All right, is my video still not on?
It was. Well, I don't know. I never did see it. I
No,
think I
no,
seen a
it's not
flash for a
on.
second.
But if you, it's not on. If you don't want it on, it's okay.
Yeah, it's
Well,
cool either way. Whatever. If you want to do just video or audio, it doesn't matter to me. I'm fine either way.
all right. Well, if I let me see, I would like
Uh,
to get myself on video, but if I can't, it's not a big deal. I've
okay.
already got it screen. I've already got
Yeah.
my computer
Chris,
screen.
I would like for you to record it to go on Goat Productions if you
Yeah,
are able
I'm
to.
recording right now. It doesn't show me, but I'm recording all this right now.
Okay, so what it just shows me and
It
y'all's.
just shows you in the bottom. It don't show nothing because he's not on
Uh,
there. But I'll.
I'm gonna see if I can get Google to hook up my Bluetooth to this so I can hear y'all better. Hey Google, connect to Bluetooth, please.
This device is already connected to iPhone. You can ask me to disconnect it.
Hey Google, disconnect iPhone.
Got it. Bluetooth is disconnected.
Hey Google, connect to iPhone.
Sure. Looking for paired devices. Bluetooth is connected to iPhone.
Try talking now, Chris. Testing one two.
I'm talking. I'm turning my
Yeah.
mic up and down when I have to talk because it's gonna make some
Yeah,
reverb.
I'm not going to be able to get my Bluetooth, so I may have to set pretty close to the camera to,
Okay, that's all
to
right.
to be able to understand. I'm hard of hearing, and this iPhone is hard of talking.
No, I'll make sure to project my voice as best I can too. All right.
Oh, that works. That works very good.
Uh,
I'm used to Chris mumbling, but mostly over Messenger.
yeah. All right. So it looks like I'm not able to get my camera on, but if that's okay with you guys, that's no big deal to me.
That's cool with me. The I just go with whichever timeline we end up in.
All right.
Because right now it's Schrodinger's interview. I know nothing about it except for what little Chris told me, and that wasn't much.
Would you like any background on like what we're actually working on right now, or just keep it?
Nah, just interview me, and then you can tell me afterwards. That way, I'm not all weird.
Okay, sounds good. So, I guess this is
Interview me, and then I'll interview you back. I guess.
okay. Sounds good. Um, so I guess we can start off with this is I think this is going to be a question I'm going to ask everybody I'm able to get in touch with for this. But how would you describe Hulk Kid, whether the character or the series as a whole, in one sentence?
Hulk Kid in one sentence.
Yeah.
Oh, are we interviewing right now?
Yeah, if you're ready, if you need a
Yeah,
moment.
that's fine. I didn't do my homework. He sent them to me, and I read over them one time, but I didn't. he sort of sprung this on me this morning, and then I ended up here, and he just Chris is very good at saying, "Do it now, do it now, do it now,"
Yeah, we're ready now.
and
Do it now. We got 10 minutes. Do it.
and I have to slow him down because his genius, he doesn't realize the genius that I guess I could describe it in one word better than I could in one sentence. Just the what he put together there, and the way, I mean, when I first heard of it, Hulk Kid, and then I seen the way he just slapped, like cut and paste a collage together there. I thought that was the most absurd thing I'd ever seen when I first met him at the YouTube conference in Atlanta, and he had got to 50,000 views. So, they put us down there, and then they put us both on the same team,
Mm.
and we was also on the team with the the soap queen from Fort Payne, Alabama. Shout out to what is her name? Do you remember her name, Chris?
No.
Kimberly
Yeah,
McNutt.
Kimberly.
Yeah,
The-
she's
the-
got the Crystal Sage Emporium in Fort Payne, Alabama.
did you say she was the soap queen or the soak queen?
Well, I said soap, but she uses that soap to soak plenty of things, I'm sure. uh, we've got an interview on YouTube. It's uh, my let's see, 2016 presidential debate. That's what when we were at the YouTube conference, and they put us on teams. They told us we had to come up with a skit within 30 minutes, and then film the whole thing, and then come back out there and present it on the big screen to everybody in the audience. So uh, we, Chris and I had never met, and I had just met Kim that day. She had called me 2 days before and said, "Hey, I'm going to the YouTube conference, and I've got to have Uncle Goat on my arm to go to the YouTube conference in Atlanta." And I said, "Well, let me ask Lorna Lou if we can go." And I didn't know that her and Lorna had known each other for years, and they had sort of a contentious relationship, but they were friends. And we all ended up going to Atlanta together. And so Chris and I just seen he was Hulk Kid, and I'm
Yeah.
like, what is Hulk Kid? He looked like a very snooty aristocratic city slicker to me. And there we was sitting in Atlanta and all of that. And so, but when he started talking, he was throwing them ideas right back and forth, and we couldn't figure out exactly what we was going to do. And I said, "Well, I've been running for president, Vote Goat 2020, and everything on my YouTube channel. So why don't we just do my first presidential debate down here, and you can be the moderator, Chris." And Chris, he jumped on that and run with it. He had them questions written down, and Kim decided she would be the other candidate. So we was doing my first presidential debate in Atlanta, and so we done that, and then Lorna was the other interviewer, and then but Lorna, and you could see the tension. I look back on it now, the tension between Lorna, and Lorna had told me that Kim had a crush on me, and I didn't believe that was so. I thought that was just silly, but you could tell in that she was getting mighty. My son that plays on the YouTube channel, Little Bob, he's 19 now. He watched that interview recently, and he said, "Papa, that was pretty rough. That woman was after you real bad." And I said, "Well, Lorna always said that, but I didn't believe it." And I went back and watched it with him. That was pretty ridiculous what was going on there. But anyway, I'll quit telling. She's already gonna probably shoot me for all of that, but she ain't talked to me in a couple of years anyway. So it'll give her a reason to give us a call, won't it, Chris?
So that kind of answers my first question too, which just would just have been going back to when you and Chris first met. Do you guys still have a video of that skit somewhere
Yeah, it's on my YouTube channel, the
on
Uncle
your
Goat
YouTube?
Show on YouTube.
So how long have you been doing the Uncle Goat thing exactly?
Well, do you want the long version or the short one?
I could take the long if you're willing to tell it.
Oh well, if you're willing to listen, I've been. My grandma always would ask me when she got tired of listening to me. She'd say, or she'd say, Clint, are your jaws tired? And I'd say, no, Grandma, why? And when I got about 13 years old, when she would ask me and she'd say, well, my ears are, I finally realized that Grandma was telling me to be quiet. So anyway, what was the question again? Oh, how long?
Yeah, how
You want
long?
the long version?
Yeah.
Well, I started the YouTube channel quite by accident in 2011. I started being called Uncle Goat back in 2003. My niece, shout out to my niece Katie. Uh, she was like 2 or 3 years old there, and she always wanted me to sing a song about a goat to her. And me and my firstborn son had made up a song when he was little about a man who had a goat and ate his bright red coat. And at the end, I'd go back, and she started calling me Uncle Goat. And so one day, and before I started the YouTube, I had a traumatic brain injury in 2008, and that when I woke up from that, I was scatterbrained, way worse than I am now. I'm pretty scatterbrained right now, but I had a lot going on there, and that's how Uncle Goat come about. Because before I was Uncle Goat, I used to work in the trade centers in New Orleans and Chicago and Atlanta and places like that with my own jewelry business.
Oh wow.
But after I had the traumatic brain injury, I wasn't able to do my sales and communicate with those city slickers anymore. I couldn't put on the mask of going in there and acting like I was shot somebody. So if I start talking in circles, just remind me I've already told you that.
I will. I'm sorry to hear that. My dad.
No, I'm really good. I didn't die from the traumatic brain injury, at least in this timeline.
Yeah.
And I have really in the way I ended up on YouTube is I was after I come out of, they had told me I'd had a stroke, and when I come out of the stroke there, these dogs having a fit out there. When I come out of the stroke and was beginning to talk and stuff, I was just sort of silly, and my kids wanted me to tell some silly stories, so I would tell some stuff like my uncles used to tell. Back in the 70s and 80s, we didn't have but 3 channels on TV. I guess you already know about all that.
Yeah.
You've heard the boomers tell it enough. But I'm 1968, Generation X, I reckon. And we in the 70s, when the news come on, if we wanted to stay up later, I had 9 aunts and uncles that lived right beside me. And our town was less than 1,000 people. It's Pisgah, Alabama, and it's right next to Lizard Lope and Blowgourd. And they don't have. I think the population of Pisgah counted Lizard Lope, Blowgourd, and Rosalie, and most of the other outlying hills. But I had 9 aunts and uncles, and they were stair step. The first one was 4 years older than me, and you know, so 1970 something. I guess I was about 78. I was 10, and my
Mhm.
uncles, they would always do like comedy shows after the stuff. I didn't realize back then, that the beer had a lot to do with it, but they would do stuff like mixing Tim Conway with and stuff like Gilligan's Island together, and just come up with their own slapstick humor that was just always, comforting back then. And then
Mhm.
after I had the stroke, the traumatic brain injury, I couldn't really. I stuttered a lot. I had tardive dyskinesia really bad from the
Mhm.
medications that they had put me on and everything. And I ended up telling the story, and my son recorded it without me knowing it, and he put it on YouTube. And I was telling about when when I had quit my first job. He called the video "Take This Job and Shove It," and he posted it on YouTube, and he didn't tell me for like 3 months, and he named it the Uncle Goat Show, and he was
Mhm.
like 11 or 12 years old, and he come and told me that I had a bunch of views on it, and I said, "What do you mean you didn't put that on YouTube?" I had a fit. I did not want to be on YouTube, and he said, "Yeah, but you don't understand. You made 10 cents off of it." And I said, "Wait a minute, you can make money off of posting stupid stuff on YouTube?" He said, "Yeah, Google's going to pay you." And I said, "Well, I guess you can leave it on there." Well, we made a few more, and after a couple of years, we'd made $6 or $7, and we just pretty much made goofy home videos and posted them on there. And now we've got up to like, I think, close to 12 or 13,000 subscribers.
Wow.
And but I've got every one of them has been organic, and I've run a lot of people off because I I went through the whole phases of my life on there. I just molded it along with it. I had a hard time. I didn't realize that I had a traumatic brain injury. I was just told I had a stroke, and
Mhm.
they didn't take me to a doctor. When I got sick, I lost from 290 pounds down to 150 something,
Oh
and
my God.
I reckon the good Lord had other plans for me in this timeline, and so I stuck around, and the insurance company's probably glad I did. I wasn't for a while. I couldn't talk. I went out and I tried to do some craft shows and sell my jewelry there, but I couldn't get anybody to buy anything, and I was trying to be the old me. So I just finally gave up and become Uncle Goat, and then I had never drank, in my life until I had some real hardship hit about
Mm.
2014, and some stuff that I had to make a decision to start drinking or to go out and do something I shouldn't do to somebody. So I started drinking and didn't mean to. So I went through my drunk phase on YouTube too. I kept it, you know, as friendly. I'm still going on there and getting rid of some stuff every once in a while, but I've come full circle there and haven't drank in over a year. So I've went through that, and I understand. I'm more who I used to be, and I've started back several of my businesses, and I'm starting back 3 of the jewelry pieces. Chris and I was talking about his wife possibly marketing some of those down Atlanta way
Mm.
and stuff. He's put some on eBay, a few of the beads that I make. But I think I told you more than you asked.
No, no, that's great. No, I really appreciate hearing all of that, and I appreciate you opening up to me about that. My dad actually he suffered a traumatic brain injury. I think late 2014, and that was definitely a struggle for him. And so I
Well,
can.
people do not understand. See, all of these. normal, perfect people out there, uh, until they have went through something and totally became a new person. I still have all my old memories, but when I try to be that person, it just doesn't work.
Mhm.
I'm basically Uncle Goat most of the time. Now, when I do the show, I throw on a lot more accent. At the first of it, I say, "Hello, it's me again," and at the end, I say, "Bye bye now." Fire, and we might make more than 10 cents, over 10. But I am about to move my platform. We're going. Chris and I are going to do Goat Product. Chris, is that okay if we talk about Goat Productions?
Yeah, it is.
Okay. Well, that Goat Productions is what we're going to do. We're trying to get some collaboration with other YouTubers, and we're wanting to do a new tube, and that's what we're going to call it, New Tube.
Okay.
And that is trademark copyrighted. But if anybody steals it from us, you can donate 10% back to our Goat Productions, and we'll work with you on it. I've learned that the patent system doesn't work for anybody except for the rich.
I'm working with some guy now that does web hosting, so maybe we could make our own YouTube, and he's got
Well,
computers.
I'm going. I'm in negotiations with somebody that has a pretty good big company too. But you work your side, because I'm gonna need some stuff to show him, uh, what we're gonna do. The problem with YouTube has stolen so many channels,
Mm.
and I got I got so angry yesterday. I said I would never, start doing Facebook Reels and Facebook, because I never really I all I knew about Mark Zuckerberg is that he looked like a orange guy who was not nice to people,
Yeah.
and I believed all the propaganda. But then I watched that documentary on him and realized that he was just a young entrepreneur like I was back in 1980 something. And if I had been in his position, if 9/11 hadn't happened and I hadn't have ended up, going the direction that got me on the TBI, then I might have me and Mr. Zuckerberg might have been friends, and brought Meta into existence a lot faster, because I have a notebook where uh, where I had designed basically everything that he's wanting to do with his metaverse uh,
Mm.
concept. And uh, when he gets in touch with me, I'll tell him more about how we're going to fix Marketplace and Reels with YouTube. But he ain't got in touch with me yet.
So NewTube. This is an actual like video sharing platform that you're trying to get
Well,
off the
yeah,
ground, right?
it's our idea through Goat Productions. Chris and I have been kicking it around for a while. Uh, Chris doesn't only think outside the box. He falls off the table that the box is sitting on quite often, and he can open up ideas that that others haven't even thought of. I mean, I don't know how he goes, the direction that he goes sometimes, but he usually makes it. Uh, I remember hearing, I think it was Van Gogh or Picasso or one of those famous people, the
Mhm.
one that kept burning all their paintings
Yeah.
because they had painted thousands, and they burned them for wood and heat and everything. And when I found out that Chris had uh, accidentally uh, deleted his entire YouTube channel that night, by just hitting one wrong button, when YouTube had frustrated him so bad and he lost all of that. It was like how much of that genius just burned up. And I
Yeah.
told him I hope it's somewhere out there. And it seems like he's found some of it somehow.
No, I when I first discovered Chris and Hulk Kid as a whole, it was because, kind of a long story, me and my uncle had discovered in like 2017, 2018-ish, during the trend of these like super bizarre kids videos being posted to YouTube, that if you typed in the words Hulk Gangnam Style into YouTube, you would get hundreds of results of just these little like 3D animated Hulk guys dancing. But amidst those were some of Chris's older Gangnam Style Hulk videos, and they were just so different from all of the like all the other ones look like they were made by like a computer for babies, because I think that's probably, how it was made. But Chris's were very clearly made by a person who for some reason was combining Hulk and Gangnam Style in this very bizarre way that was just like hilarious to me and my uncle. But then in the process of digging through that channel, we found like three or four other ones, and then to find out later on that there was at one point one big all-encompassing channel that got taken down. It's just so sad. It's like the burning of the Library of Alexandria.
Yeah, it was. It just and that's why I say YouTube has done a great disservice, because the things that they consider community guidelines now, like I've got videos that are retroactive. I'm having to fight them all the time. I'm
Yeah.
fighting them right now. That's what put me on posting some stuff on Reels, and I just announced YouTube's demise on Reels a couple of days ago, but I didn't tell them as much about YouTube as I did you. But we don't have the money behind it. We don't have a GoFundMe set up. We don't have anything except for an idea that we fell off the table with. and but we've got to have a YouTube, and we've got to be able to let people. We won't accept advertisers that won't do. We'll have community guidelines, but we're not going to change them up on people later on. You
Yeah.
know, uh,
Yeah.
don't start a sharing platform and build your audience. What makes me so angry about YouTube is they built their audience on what they accused me of, child endangerment, letting kids out there training the others to explode firecrackers and put this chemical, household chemical, and that, and Mountain Dew and stuff like that, and mix it together. And there's making all sorts of stuff. And my kids was 10, 11 years old, and we had the YouTube channel, and they're like, we want to do this on, and I'm like, no, we can't do none of that stuff. I said, y'all can do some smoke bombs. So I let them do some smoke bombs, and I just recently, last week, got 3 community strikes where my 10 and 12-year-old kids, little Bob and little Lucy, was on there back in 2012 or so, and they lit some little bitty smoke bombs, and they fizzed out, and they whoofed it in front of their nose and said, "Oh, stinky fire farts," or something like that. And I just got a community strike on one of those videos, and they said it was for child endangerment, even after I appealed it. And that, if that's child endangerment in this world, then what were they doing when they were building YouTube? They trained all of these kids to do that stuff. And, I don't care if they're mad at me or not. And if they delete my YouTube channel because they're mad at me, uh, I don't have a backup copy. I've tried to make one several times, and I'm trying to download one now. But I guess if they do it, they do it.
Hmm. That's ridiculous. I don't.
Yeah,
It,
they're
it's
they
just,
they will go the. I mean, TikTok is really hurting them. Reels ain't hurting
Yeah.
them at all because Mark Zuckerberg, for some reason, he doesn't understand the marketplace and he doesn't understand why Reels is not passing TikTok.
Mhm.
And I didn't understand TikTok to start with, but TikTok, the AI that runs TikTok gets to know you personally. And
Yeah.
if you do a few tricks on there, you can use it to educate yourself, or you can use it to, watch cats lick cucumbers for 3 weeks in a row. And don't nobody go search for that because you'll find Hulk Kid out there with a chasing a cat and a cucumber with a cucumber and something going on probably.
So how would you so YouTube, would it be, like formatted the same as YouTube, is where you go out and you find the videos on your own, or are you thinking of integrating something like TikTok where it like
Well,
formats
I
it?
I think that it could. I don't know. Chris and I's gonna we're gonna get together on that a little bit more. What you got any thoughts on it? You want to share on it out loud? I know I've said, Chris, you remember we were supposed to have a word in here. You were supposed to say, what was it you're supposed to say? Uh, uh, Jim, Bob, Jerry, something other. You said something. You was gonna say something if I got to talking too much.
I forgot. Yeah.
Well, that's not good. You've got to remember these words.
Yeah. YouTube. You just that I can register the domain name, and I've got a friend that he's got a whole basement full of computers that are network computers, so we could make the program and where people could just upload their videos. I told him.
Yeah, that's something that I have talked with some of my tech guys about. We would like, okay, one of my tech guys told me, he said, you can take anything that has a couple of IC chips in it and a capacitor and a transistor or two, and you can hook them all together and it can become part of an AI brain. So when we do YouTube, we're going to need to have some sort of AI. I've got a couple of guys that I'm talking to on that, and we can always use more people on the team. Uh, we call our tech team at Goat Productions. We call them Team Freddy after iCarly. They voted on names and they come up and they Team Freddy because we always said we needed a Freddy. Freddy done everything on
Yeah.
iCarly, but we realized that to do what Freddy done on iCarly, it's going to take 20 guys
Yeah.
or two Chris's. Chris could do if we had two. If we could clone Chris, we could have it all taken care of.
It's good.
But he's got other things to answer to besides Hulk Kid and YouTube and until we start bringing in some real money, the doghouse, we get to put a roof on the doghouse every once in a while. I've heard.
Yeah, Chris, actually, this is a question for you. I know this is an Uncle Goat interview, but I forgot. I was curious about this when we met up last weekend. What is your job outside of Hulk Kid, or like, are you working outside of just making videos and stuff at home?
Um, I buy and sell cars just to make money to pay the bills, but I'm working with a guy that he's super smart. He back in the 1980s and 90s, he registered all these domain names like rugs.com. He owns rugs.com, and he registered all these names, and I'm working with him now uh, to um, to promote some of these websites. We haven't made money yet, but he's got a basement full of network computers.
Oh, so he's the one you're talking to about YouTube.
Well, I haven't talked to him about it yet, but the idea that Uncle Goat said we could actually do that because he has those network. He's got like 20 of those network computers in his basement, and he don't have them online yet. But if we did something like that, he's got the networking computers to upload the videos and all that stuff. So I'm working with him on a website now, where he registered all these names, all these really basic names back in the 90s and 80s. So we're that's a secondary job I'm doing now, trying to make some income. But he has, but like YouTube that Uncle Goat just said, he's taught me how I could go right now and register the domain name, and we would have it. We'd have newtube.com. We'd own it for about $15. You pay for it. So that's something
Yeah.
we could actually do, with his networking computers and stuff. But
Yeah.
I don't know that I buy and sell cars right now to make the ends meet.
Let me translate for Chris into a real concise thing. He's a marketing genius, and he's a used car salesman that can recognize that a guy who has servers, obsolete servers in his basement, can be hooked together, and we can bring other components together from other people, maybe from this interview. They can get in touch with Goat Productions on Facebook. We're just using Facebook for the most part right now because Mark has got a really good worldwide network set up. It's as disorganized as my Uncle Goat show is. If somebody tries to go and look at the Uncle Goat show, I just kept uploading and said I will organize it later. So I was a video hoarder. So there's over 10,000 videos on there, and there may be some things that's horrible on there that I said by accident. Somebody's gonna have to go through every piece of it and watch it and call in advance if I did say or do something to offend somebody, because I'm not the man that I was then. I'm the man that I is today, but I'm not the man I'll be tomorrow.
Yeah, that is true.
And I didn't realize that then, but I realize that now. So if it hurts somebody physically, spiritually, or emotionally, it's not in my agenda.
Well, I'm sure that anybody who was hurt physically, spiritually, or emotionally will appreciate that. I actually, this is something I've noticed you mentioned a couple times. I guess you could be drawn into kind of like the spiritual, metaphysical realm. You've mentioned this specific timeline a couple times. What are your beliefs on like the timelines as a whole? If this is like a big topic that you're not necessarily willing to get into right now, I understand, but that sounds interesting.
Well, do you want a worldwide exclusive on all of it right here and now, or do you want the short version? I think we better give you the short version on this. Have you ever seen that show Rick and Morty?
Yeah.
Well, that has nothing to do with it. Do you know Neil deGrasse Tyson?
Yeah.
Do you know Bill Nye the Science Guy?
Yes.
Well, during my recovery, when I learned, okay, when I couldn't talk and make sense when I was talking, I could say my sentences, but I would throw words in there like, if I was asking somebody if they want to go to Walmart, I might tell them to climb up on the top of the barn and let's see if we can fly. And I not even know that I was saying that, because I don't know what part of it was in my brain that shut down. It was somewhere near the number processors, but my old memories were still intact, so I still felt like me. I just couldn't get out who I was. So to go to sleep, I remembered I always slept really good in history class or math class, especially if I had a professor that just started rambling on about something. I could go to sleep pretty easily. So I started sleeping with documentaries on, and I would sort of do like Einstein's old mind experiments, I'd lay there with my remote and hold it up. And if my remote failed, I'd wake back up, and so I could keep myself sort of in that twilight sleep. And so I started watching the Neil deGrasse Tyson videos, and you know how YouTube will throw stuff in there later, and on. So I ended up with Bill Nye mixed in there. So my mind set up this whole uh, scenario in there where I was Professor Goat, and I was arguing with Bill Nye the Science Guy and Neil deGrasse Tyson about why the cat was not even in the box at all. And Bill Nye was saying that the cat was definitely dead, and Neil deGrasse Tyson was explaining why it was not dead or alive because, and I told him that I think the thing went out the two slits in the bottom there, and but we argued quite often, me as Professor Goat there. Well, then when I ended up meeting Chris, and he wanted
Hey, I
me to
got something
be
to say.
wanted
Hey,
Uncle Goat to be Hulk Kid's dad on on his show. I said, well, that just won't work out too good. I can be his Uncle Goat kind of thing. Well, Chris is very persistent, and he kept on and on and on. How long did you keep on at me? And I finally said, well, I've got a few other characters. I got the hippest hippie from Hipville, Tennessee. You want him to be his dad? He's like, no, I don't know about that. And I said, well, there's this and then there's that one, you know, Billy Joe Bob and two or three others. And I said, and then there's Professor Goat. He said, Professor Goat? Who's Professor Goat? So we went to writing, a scene, and I don't know if you've seen the video uh, where Professor Goat, Chris does a green screen behind me. He has me uh, buy me a piece of green cloth and put it against the wall and do the mask and do the Professor Goat and everything. And then he takes and puts a real laboratory behind me. And I'm talking about the tardigrades, and I had got with my riders, and I said, okay, Professor Goat I said, here is Hulk Kid, and Professor Goat has just found out that he's Hulk Kid's dad. How did it happen? And my riders there said, what? And I showed them.
wait,
I showed them Chris's channel, and they had the reaction of like,
I think
"Why
Chris
are
just
you
Chris
doing
was
this?"
trying
I said, "Well,
to say something.
we've won all these contests at the YouTube conference. He was on my team." I said, "He's a genius," and they're like, "Well," I said, "He had 50,000 subscribers on YouTube on this," and they start scratching their heads. They're a bunch of younger people, and they're like, "How?"
Hey, the secret
But
word that makes the secret word.
yeah,
Hey, listen.
but they couldn't come up with it, so me and Chris had to write it ourselves. And he told me, that who she was, and when I seen the video of her with the Russian accent and everything, uh, I went to sleep that night, and I said, okay, Professor Goat, where were you back in whatever year Hulk Kid was born and everything? I said, I told him in my dream that night. I said, you got a kid, and he said, well, it wasn't up there by that creek, that cute little Russian scientist that was up there studying tardigrades at the same time I was it?
That's Hulk mom.
But anyway, Hulk Kid's mom and Professor Goat met outside of Chernobyl
Hey, wait.
in the
Hey,
late
Uncle
80s
Goat.
or early 90s.
Uncle Goat, I got something to say.
And the tardigrade, uh, the radioactive tardigrades from the Chernobyl fallout is what caused Hulk Kid to have Hulkism. So
Mm.
Professor Goat, the reason they got hold of Professor Goat is to find a cure for Hulk Kid's Hulkism.
Hey, that
And but our comic book, can we go ahead and let them know about Hulk Kids? Not Hulk Kids, Goat Kids.
Can I say
Chris.
something?
I mean, I don't know who I mean, this is Schrodinger's interview here. I mean, I don't know who it is. I don't know where it's going. I mean, she could be working for Oprah for all I know.
Hey, wait. Can I input something?
Yeah.
I was this we're just recording right now, so all this stuff could be cut out. But we could go live on my channel and have him interview Uncle Goat as a live stream and talk about some of this funny stuff. Because me and
So we can do that later. Let's finish. Let's keep our mind focused on this interview, and then we'll
Okay,
get to the
okay.
next one.
Okay, we'll just
Let's finish. Let's finish telling them what we need to know about Hulk Kid, about Goat Kids. Do you want to tell them about the comic book that we're working on, or for
no
Goat Kids, where Hulk Kid leads? See, Professor Goat, while he's trying to find a cure for. Are we telling this about the aliens and 2027 and the insectopods and everything? Is that good, Chris?
Well, you had an idea where Uncle Goat would try to get people to make videos about their superpowers, and we were going to make a bunch of videos about kids about their superpowers and have them
Yeah.
join our team.
Yeah, Professor Goat is going to use CRISPR to genetically modify the goat kids, and the goat kids are the greatest of all time. Now, Uncle Goat is not about a goat. I have come to find out it's the greatest of all time. Now, I am not the greatest of all time, but what I want the Uncle Goat show to evolve into is people sending in their stories about their uncles. And, that's one of the first stories that I've got to tell there is people sending in and get close to going into. And I think the uncles, the crazy uncle out there, the uncle that, says, hey, I'm going to paint you green and do a cutout of your video, and you're going to run through Walmart and tell your mama jokes. And you're going to dance Gungan style. I mean, without a crazy uncle, I mean, that kid's life would have probably been normal.
I had to pay Hulk Kid with Legos. I say, let's make a video. He says, I don't want to. I said, I'll buy you a new Lego set. He says, okay, only for a short time.
Now, Chris, you make sure he gets paid before you do when we start making money. We don't want none of this old style you know YouTube kids turn out to but he's got a bright future, Mr. Hulk Kid does, because he's got to lead the Goat Kids. And in the comic book, they find out that Onanama or whatever asteroid that was coming through was actually a Trojan horse for the insectopods. And we didn't realize, but it adjusted course about Lagrange point 1, and the James Webb Telescope got a really good look at one of their compound eyes. And well, they kept it under wraps, but Uncle Goat found out about it, and he told Professor Goat, and Professor Goat got on the phone and called that guy that has all the heads on that Futurama show.
Oh yeah,
And
yeah.
he called him up. I can't remember who he was, but he found out. Anyway, the comic book's ridiculous, and he takes and uses CRISPR, and he puts a call out for all of the Indigo children and the Star children and all these Star Seed people, and they come in to Goat Academy, and then Professor Goat starts modifying their DNA, and we have people with cephalopod DNA and different things like that, and they get ready to battle the insectopods that'll be here in 2027.
So are you guys are you illustrating this like in
Yeah,
house?
but we've decided that we're probably going to put a rating for at least, like, you know, older people, because I don't want kids, and we're going to put a no boomers rating on it because I don't even want their input on it. No boomers and nobody under 14. Because we don't want them thinking that they can go out and get crispered up with a you know, with a cuttlefish or something,
Yeah.
and be able to, change colors and fight the predator or anything.
Well, I think we probably more or less answered all the questions I had throughout our conversation. Um, I guess is there anything that any closing words that you have, or anything that you want me to be putting out there into the world that you haven't already?
No, but you can tell me who you are now.
So I'm from Team Randy. It's we're a small YouTube channel. It's just me and some friends. We've been making videos for well, me and my friends have been making videos together for probably close to 10 years, but we've got a YouTube channel now, like for the past year or so, and just kind of it's been a lot of different like absurdist style comedy, and then just a couple like overarching stories and stuff. So we're really just doing this for fun, but we're trying to put together a documentary, and the direction of it is still kind of up in the air. But it's going to center around the Hulk kid mythos, and we're trying to it'll either just be like a pretty basic artist profile where we talk to everybody and just like you know just go over all the everything we've covered, or it might be it like we might it might become about something more specific. Yet we're not quite sure. We're just kind of gathering footage. We've actually been uh,
Sounds awesome.
yeah,
Sounds awesome.
it'll be cool when it's done. I think we met up with Chris back in 2020, and we did a little art exchange. And if my camera would work, I could show you. I've got one of his paintings on my wall in my apartment up here. One of the ones of I guess it's Hulk Kid. Looks like Hulk Kid. But so this has been in the works for a while now. I've known about Chris and the whole Hulk Kid thing for God about 3.5 years now. So it's been continually building, and we'll see what direction this goes in.
Well, I could tell when I first saw the popularity of it, and then I recognized, when I looked past, it being, a kids thing, and I looked at it from the a perspective of art.
Hmm.
uh, I realized that uh, well, I just lost that thought, but I realized I realized a lot about it that day.
No, yeah,
It's
I, I think that's just one of the things that we hope to accomplish with this is just that this as silly as Hulk Kid is, it really does mean a lot to us. And
Yeah, what I was gonna say, it would end up having a cult following.
yeah,
Like, look back in the day. You've got several Monty Python and different things like that was so absurd that a lot of us just passed it by. I when I grew up, I didn't really run with the jocks or with the other people. I just sort of twisted around in the middle there and was friends with everybody. And I just didn't get into a lot of the comedy stuff back then because I was entrepreneur serious. I'd watched, Family Ties and stuff, and I saw old Alex back then, Michael J. Fox, before he was traveling around in the future.
yeah.
He played a young up and coming Republican, and I was determined. Donald Trump was my hero, but he's not anymore. But that's for another day.
All right. Well, thank you so much for your time. This was a lot of fun.
Well,
I
it
really,
was
yeah,
great
I
to
really,
meet you.
really appreciate. Great meeting you too. I really appreciate it, and I'm sure you'll be be hearing either from Chris about this or from me in the future once we get everything all wrapped up. But yeah, thank you so much for your time, and thank you, Chris, for getting this set up. I really appreciate it.
Hey, Chris, you're gonna have to get a. I bet you have a harder time getting an interview from the guy in the basement.
Yeah. I've recorded all this stuff, so I'm gonna send it to Lily, and so all this is recorded, so
Okay.
he can use
Well,
it.
that works out great. We'll get all that took care of after the interview.
All right.
If y'all, this is another idea. This doesn't
Okay.
have to do with this, but this was pretty interesting. If I did a live stream, not now, but another time with us talking about stuff, it could do pretty good. I was thinking about making a live talk show with Uncle Goat because he talks
Well,
very good.
well, remember we talked about this, Chris. We was gonna call it Goat Talk, greatest
And
of all
we can
time
have-
talk.
We can have
And
a
then
Goat Talk.
me and you, and we could have 2 or 3 co-hosts.
Yeah, with Lily and his friends, and we could talk about different things. But,
Yeah,
we
you
could
could
do a
bully
live
me.
stream.
I can talk about anything from quantum physics to the hairs on a hairy nosed wombat's nose.
Yeah, so
And-
so if we want to do this again, we can do a live stream and see how it goes, and just talk. I was wanting to do a talk show with Uncle Goat because he can talk so good about different topics and stuff. With you as well, Lily, we could
Yeah,
have a
I'd definitely be
talk
interested.
show going on that would be kind of interesting and cool. Talk about all kinds of different topics and stuff.
Yeah.
It'll be a whole new different thing, but it's something we could do and have
Yeah,
a
yeah. What Chris and I need is a old fashioned personal assistant, and I'm hoping that old Elon Musk is. I'm hoping that she puts those robots out soon, and then we can use their AI and have a personal assistant to do all this stuff that me and Chris can't keep organized. Maybe. I mean, Elon, I was in the wrong timeline. Sorry about that. He's still not got back with me on the space truck either. I don't know what's holding him up in this timeline. But if he don't quit using all of these hydrogen to blast up into space and do it the way we do it in the other timelines, he's never going to get to Mars in his lifetime. I can tell you that for sure.
Hey, we're I think I've got all the recordings, so if I guess we're done for today. But in the future, if you want to do this same thing and we could do it as a live stream, that would be kind of cool. Then we could get questions that people would ask, and it would be like a talk show. So I was thinking about making like a talk show thing we could do in the future.
Yeah, well, we're going to call the one that I'm on. We're with Goat Productions, Chris. We're going to call it Goat Talk. Trademark with a little. We can't do the little C thing, but that's our intellectual property, Goat Talk, and it's coming from Alabama and Georgia, and we'll start out talking about the football teams, I guess. And I'll give you my opinion, which ain't much.
Okay.
All right. Well, that sounds good to me. I would definitely
So
be
we got something to look
that.
forward to.
Yeah.
Something for Chris to work on.
All right. Well,
and I'm going back to the swamp because I've got an ASMR video to make with pokeberries and see if I can drop my iPhone in the water.
All right. Well, I'm gonna go ahead and head out.